Good afternoon, friends. I'm delighted to welcome you all for this show. I'm Rajendran, a cyber advocate based in Chennai and chairman of Digital Security Association of India. Digital Security Association of India, popularly known as DISAI, is an NGO, a public charitable trust with a mission and a vision statement to create awareness on the safe and secure use of computers, to discuss the nuances in techno legal issues, technology related to crimes in the digital space, crimes in the cyberspace, information security related areas, particularly the financial sector related crimes and IT laws, and perhaps focusing a little more on the emerging trends in cyber crimes in today's world. In today's heavily networked world, with a deep penetration, a kind of technology penetration, which makes the entire world look at us with envy. It's quite interesting to note that even IMF, a body no less than the IMF International Monetary Fund, a couple of days back, recorded that when the entire world was struggling in during the pandemic days, how to cope with the emerging trends in technology, India was one country which was really a bright spot in the globe. IMF recorded that even during the pandemic, the technology penetration in India was so good that Indian industry did not suffer. They progressed because of direct benefit transfers and so many other effective and efficient use of technology. Whenever we say effective and efficient use of technology, it also carries with it the issues relating to effective or efficient use by actual good users and mischievous use by the wrongdoers, criminals, fraudsters. This is one particular area, one niche area in which DISAI has been focusing on for the past 6 years of its inception. So, in today's discussion, we'll be debating on how technology in India is poised, how the present data privacy scenario is there in India, how the social networking sites in India, how they are safe, the intermediary guidelines and the government's use of control or the lack of it. Some people say it's not the use of control, it is actually the lack of control of the government, whatever it is. These are all the areas which we are going to discuss and debate today. And I have with me, I have pleasure in presenting before you two experts in this area, in this particular specialized field, Mr. MJ Lokesh Babu, Zonal Head of Asian School of Cyber Laws, a very young, tech-savvy cyber law graduate who practices cyber law in the High Court of Madras, plus he is a trainer for the judicial officers, the judges in police academy very regularly, including many investigative agencies like CBCID, CBI and many other police departments, and of course various banks for the front-end bank users. He is also CEO of Panchi India Private Limited, a startup company which is specializing in the area of creating awareness on the safe and secure presence of women and children in the cyberspace. I have pleasure in presenting before you Lokesh Babu.
Thank you for the introduction, sir.
Thank you. Next, I present before you Mrs. Panchi Subramanyam, who was till recently, till about 1.5 years back, she was chief manager in a very major public sector bank, a public sector bank known for its in-house technology strength, right from the single branch use of computers up to the total branch automation and even up to core banking initially. And she's regarded to be widely respected to be the architect of internet banking related design, development of interfaces with government and UPI, everything in the IT department of the bank. As the head of the IT department, internet banking and network security department, she is quite well versed on network security, the effective use of network security related parameters, the software, how banks can use them, how ladies and women, especially data privacy, can be ensured in a digitally networked world. I take pleasure in presenting before you Panchi. Okay, can I start the discussion with you, Panchi?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, in the past 5-6 years, we've been saying that, as I was referring to in my first introductory speech also, introductory remarks also, I was telling you that India is being looked at with envy by the world, especially even developed, advanced countries like UK and USA. Those countries also look at India with envy. How the country can can be poised for such a leapfrogging growth in technology penetration and network security. In this particular segment, how do you feel that the data in data in the financial world, especially the banking sector? I'm asking you this question because you have been heading the particular department of internet banking in a major public sector bank. The data of public in internet banking or the banking data, the customers level, the top management level, and the user level. From all the three levels, you can tell me how the data is safe. If it is not safe, what are the regulatory aspects or the bank management aspects that can be given a little more attention?
Thank you for the questions, Rajendran, sir. Data in internet banking per se, you need not explicitly, we need not discuss about internet banking also. In any IT angle, any data protection, data is shown to the user or it is available to the user only on the need based areas. For example, if any management is looking at the data, the same internet banking data, to the management, it will be shown as, like for example, in a report format. What are the number of internet banking users? What is the traffic? Like this, whatever data is required to the management only is shown to the management. And suppose in the same internet banking, if there is a backend operator, if there is an operations person, to then to the operations executive, the login ID or the account number or the logs, to whatever extent with which it has to be shown to the user, like that it is shown. Then to the customer angle. For the customer also, whatever accounts we have registered only, we will be able to see in the internet banking. All these are one way in a very broader perspective. But inside the data storage or anything, when you see in the user angle, there need not be any apprehension or anything about the security or privacy angle of the data. Because for example, if you take passwords are always encrypted and saved in hash format. We will be saying it as one-way hash format. In that format only it will be saved. So it means that no data is retrievable from the database. So from the perspective of the user, one can be always rest assured that the data is very much safe in the hands of the banks, because it could be either public sector bank or private sector bank. In any banking system, there is a well drafted RBI guidelines using which the data is always protected. There are regular audits, stringent audits are there. There are continuous monitoring is also there. In many places, continuous monitoring of security incident event management, not only for security, for data security also it is there. So like this, the real-time systems are always monitored and it is in the safe hands of the banks as well as any of the payment system players also.
Since we are actually focusing more on monitoring and from overall administrative control, now that we are doing this show on behalf of not only Digital Security Association of India, but also on behalf of Federation of Data Protection Professionals, FDPPA Bangalore. I want to highlight particular issues which could happen in bank. For example, in the pre-computerized free core banking environment, the signature or a bank balance or any other thing of one particular customer, any customer of any brand, will not be so easily accessible for the staff members of other branches. For example, a customer of say branch in Shimla, Delhi or somewhere has an account in a Delhi branch. The branch official sitting in a corner of the country like Madurai or anywhere else will not have easy access to the particular branch account number unless he goes to the core banking login. And again, he need not refer to the signature also. Physical signatures were kept separately as physical format in the pre-computerized environment. Now the core banking with a centralized database accessible by all the thousands of branches throughout, what is the level of privacy for the customer signature? For example, if a staff member in a remote corner of the branch in a country very frequently keeps looking at the signature of one particular customer about 1000 kilometers away, should it not trigger some suspicion on the behavior of the staff member? Should the system not log such things? These are happening, better beware. Because in a pre-computerized environment, this was not possible. Now with the advent of core banking, we have made it possible. When we make it possible, what are the security initiatives for such, not only this, for such invasion of privacy, I would say?
Definitely, there are continuous monitoring which happens in the core banking system of any bank. Suppose, like as you say, if other bank staff are anyway, these policies are, they do differ from bank to bank. The exact operationalization of the security policies will differ, but basically, even if other bank staff is trying to access, then these exceptions would be always recorded in log. Those type of systems and tightening measures of security is always being taken care, sir. So those exceptions are again monitored by some other team, independent team from some other division.
So
Say
mean to
from
say some
inspection
system
or
driven or the application driven, some kind of log should be there.
Yes.
Even though the data is not altered or amended or added, deleted, even the data is accessed unnecessarily. Suppose somebody's account is being monitored, seen every few minutes, that itself should trigger something like
some alerts are being
some
generated.
alerts should be there.
Yes,
I think
they
that
are
is-
generated. There are systems like that where alerts can be generated for any exceptions, and that will be monitored by another team.
Taking this question to the just next level, Lokesh Babu, I would like to ask you this question. When a customer has an account with a bank, suppose the customer has the fear that my data is being unnecessarily accessed by the branch official or somebody who is not a bank official at all. I receive a call from the bank, from somebody, not a bank, from somebody claiming that he is from the bank, and the caller specifically says that this is your name, this is your card number, this is your address, or perhaps this is your mobile number. Actually, mobile only he has called anyway. So naturally, he must be knowing the mobile number. So with all the details, when somebody calls, then I have every reason to believe that the person is from the branch or he has got some access to some kind of a database in a bank. Suppose as a cyber law practicing advocate, somebody comes and makes you a complaint that I have suspicion against this bank, that my data in the bank is getting leaked. I am getting frequent calls. But the bank is disowning. Bank says that my everything, information system, security policy, everything is very good, foolproof, nothing can happen. Like bank is giving assurance. Though I have not lost any money, but I have suspicion. Can you take up this case? What will you do?
Sir, taking up this case is 100% we can take this case. The thing is, if the bank security says that we have not lost any data, no hacking has been made, or no data loss has been made from our part, there are lots of ways where the data loss could have happened. For example, I receive a bank statement from the bank. This bank statement will contain many of the data what the bank says. These PDF files can be easily decrypted, or even if it is password protected, it can be opened with small tools which are available on the site, and they can open the thing. These files will give a lot of information like account number, like user IDs, like the address they have, the balances they have. With these data, a criminal or a fraudster can pretend himself like a banker, and they can call to the bank, to the particular person, stating that I'm calling from a bank and this is your account number.
The point is, how did the fraudster get the PDF file itself? How did he get the data?
Right. Going little more further, see, for example, it's a peer-to-peer attack. For example, your account is going to be hacked by a person. Then we will search your details in the social media pages, like what exactly you are, what are the email IDs you have, what are the mobile numbers you have. Of course, now apps like Truecaller will give the name, address, name, email ID, and the phone number very easily. And with that, I can penetrate into your email ID, and I try to brute force the dictionary attack or the password attack and try to get into your email. After getting into your email, it is very simple for me to get the PDF file. So these types of attacks are very rigorously going in our state. So with these data, a person can attack your system and get the email IDs. Once the email ID has been compromised, you can go for the PDF or the mails what you receive from the bank. So this will happen in another path. So we cannot even blame only the bank alone, but at the same time it is our responsibility to maintain a safe zone email IDs with the regular changing of passwords or not
By
having.
our responsibility, you mean the customer's responsibility?
Yes, customer
Not the banks.
not the banks. The customer responsibility to maintain the password or to change the password frequently and see whether my email ID has been hacked or not. These necessary steps should be taken by the customer. Yes.
But from a bank's perspective, can the bank, with 100% secure, with 100% assurance and confidence, say that data here is absolutely safe, nothing can happen? But this is the routine statement which every bank says. That's a different matter. In practice, however, can the bank say that no data from our bank would have gone? So there is no question of legality in it. It's only a procedural thing. Only the customer would have been careless, negligent.
Sir, there are possibilities for the bank also to lose the data, sir. The problem is we call it as foot tracing or footpath tracing, where exactly the data goes from the bank can be traced also. We cannot 100% say that the bank says the right thing. We have not. See, the goodwill of the bank will naturally go if they say, no, we have a doubt whether it has been taken or it may not have taken. So they generally, as a banker, they used to say, they will say that my data is safe, no one has penetrated into my server or no one has penetrated into the data so far. But from a customer point, I always have the right to think, I have given these details, I have given my KYC only to the bank. If that KYC is been seen by someone else, bank must have been leaked out some data. So that is where customer doubts, and that can be investigated by a digital evidence analyst or a forensic investigator. We can do the investigation whether the bank detail has gone from the bank or not.
Okay, now Panchi, Lokesh Babu was telling me about the data getting moved, getting connected, data always keeps moving, no? I mean, typically
Yes,
in a bank or any other network environment, any other ERP kind of environment or wherever, data always keeps moving. When the data moves from one system to another, say through a cobweb network of routers and switches and all that, typically this happens only number of times in a bank also. The moment you type enter in a branch, it travels to the router, to the place, to the telephone tower. From there it takes about 1,000 kilometers away. It goes to the bank server and again comes back. These things are network configuration time. From a network perspective, when the data travels, the router and switches used in banks, that is one thing. Are they very secure? They are not hackable. Is the data which travels through absolutely safe there? And is the data getting stored by any of these devices? This is my first question. My second is with regard to the tokenization also. You know that the government itself speaks about tokenization, data getting stored by the intermediaries like the card providers, why the card providers should store your data only the last 4 digits. That also you can slightly highlight. How exactly this will be helpful to the customers. Two issues. One is data security, second is about tokenization.
Definitely, sir. With regard to the data traversing from one point to another through the network, that we would discuss first. For example, there is a browser. Client is browsing from somewhere or through a mobile app. From there it goes to the cloud, that is the internet cloud, internet. From there it reaches the bank server. Then from the bank again it goes back to the internet and then reaches the client. In this way, at the back end, there will be many routers, switches, or there are so many network equipments. Nowadays there are WAFs are there, web application firewalls are there. Like this, so many IDS, IPS, everything it has to cross and come. Here, in no device, the data will be stored. In no device, the data will be stored by any firewall, router, switch, anywhere. Nowhere data is stored. So that is absolutely, that point can be rolled out. But in these devices, how to take care of the protection of these devices, there is one basic point which usually in some places that is lacks. There would be some default password configured inside the iOS of the routers or in the that there will be a default password. For example, we all have Wi-Fi at our homes now. For all the Wi-Fi or the broadband line, there will be a default password for those routers. Similar to this, for all the networking equipments in banks or any other corporate organization also, there would be default passwords. These have to be compulsorily changed by the departments or the banks, definitely by the owners, by the product owners, and then only that could be a foolproof system. This is one thing. And then the access control which is given in the router switches or firewalls, the access control list, we used to call it as ACLs, no? So the ACL should be only the minimal access should have been given. Only the required IP addresses should have been allowed. It should have been, there has to be deny all for everything. Then required IP addresses, that required traffic alone should have been allowed. And this alone is not enough. Any management or the data owners, they should again cross check the firewall or the networking equipments list will be there, na? Permission, the access control list. That has to be revisited and reviewed in a good period frequently, at least monthly once or 2 months once. Even if it is quarterly once also, it is okay. But it has to be revisited, reviewed and then changed. In this way, the data privacy and security in the networking can be ensured in a very great manner. And then coming to the tokenization point. What is tokenization? I think almost all of us know. When you go to any website, purchase something, you are entering card number, CVV, month and year, and then this is stored by, if you are able to tick save this card for future use, the data is stored in the server of the merchant, and then it is given to you for the next time when you log in and when you do shopping. This is one thing. This was earlier, before. Now government has mandated tokenization, wherein this card number and the card details will be converted to tokens, some random set of numbers excuse me, and then that set of numbers are only stored in the banking system. This way you are stopping the disclosure of card details completely to third parties. That portion in the payment system is regulated in the recent days. This is a major breakthrough which our country has done. So this tokenization will reduce frauds in a very, very great manner. The number of frauds will definitely get reduced because of this tokenization.
So, on the question of tokenization, if it be supplemented, it is not for the customer to do any particular thing right now. It is only for the service providers to implement whatever the government has told them. That is
even after implementing, the customer should go opt for tokenization and it has to go. That will mandatorily, it will redirect.
It has not come anyway. No, there is no option for any bank stating that do you want to go for tokenization, asking the customers.
The first time when you log into the after this mandate is being introduced by the government itself, it will be compulsorily, it will tokenize.
So it has to come in the days to come. It has to come in. So the first step would be all the service providers mandatorily, they are not supposed to store any data related to, bank or CVV or any such thing. Even though CVV was not stored, they said. But in future, as per the mandate, the intermediaries, the card providers, or the servers, they will undertake to the government that we are not storing anything. Now, again from a criminal point of view, I am telling you, from a crooked interpretation. Having said this, if any provider still stores it, is there any technological wherewithal on the part of the government or any other audit agency or third in or any such thing that what you have declared is wrong, you are actually storing it to find it out?
To interrupt in this area.
Yes.
See, for example, you are entering the detail of a card number or CCV number or CVV number or the year of the card, whatever the details you enter. This data will be entered in the browser. It will go to the server or to the service provider. With this data, he generates a token number. This is what Madam is trying to say, or this is what the government says. Which means this token number will consequently verify or check for the mandatory details by default, which means this data will be stored somewhere in the system. It cannot be said that it is nowhere stored. provided these people who are in between, the mandatory people or the middlemen or these or whatever you call as
Intermediaries.
visa or master, whatever you call as it, they will not access the data without the public or without the customer's permission. They will access only to the level of the token. But please note, to create a token, you need all these data. Without these data, you cannot create this token. Which means these data will be recorded or stored in their server.
But
only.
my point is there anything that the customer is supposed to do now?
No, nothing. The customer has no role to play here. No, they will enter the data. They will be given with the token, and this token, whenever he needs to enter the card number or the same card number, CCV or the
They'll
number,
be given the token. By that, what do you mean?
the particular number.
They'll be given the token.
That number
The
instead of
customer
the
enters his data, his name. He types his name there. He types the CVV. CVV does not appear on the screen. Then what do you mean by?
see,
He
for
receives a
example,
token.
these four data. For example, is entering the name, his card number, is CVV, is the month and the year of the
Expiry date.
date.
Okay.
With all these numbers, there is no need for him to enter again and again. Instead of that, he will enter only the token number. Once he enters the token number, which will
So
automatically.
this token is generated at this stage as a one-time step.
Yes.
Token is communicated to him. He only has to remember the
See,
token number.
actually the number
like that?
no, we
It's
need
not like that.
no sir. The customer need not remember anything. That will be mapped to a tokenized number. That tokenized number ID alone will be saved by the merchant, and then he will be retrieving and showing. For example,
So the token
Mr.
is not
Rajendran's
saved in
HDFC
your
no,
IE
no, no,
or
no.
your browser. It is
Browser.
there with the.
It is there with the merchant only.
With the merchant,
It will
yeah.
be showed. If you have saved some 4 cards, it will show Mr. Rajendran HDFC card, IOB card. Like this, it will show. Then we
Yes.
have to select. That's all. These happen at the back end. For customer, it's seamless.
Yes.
So even the token is not a 3-digit, 4-digit, 5-digit number
No,
or
no,
anything
no.
like that.
No, no, no.
It is only called the token, which is kept inside.
It's a hash
the
value.
Inside,
Internet is a value.
See,
it's a hash value, which is stored, saved, preserved at the merchant establishment intermediate server. It only displays on the screen my name and the bank number. This is the bank card which you want to say.
That's all.
Immediately, the moment I say yes, I need not take the trouble of typing the 60-digit card number or expiry date or anything. It maps from whatever it is stored based on the token number.
Only CVV you have to enter and you can.
CVV I
See,
enter.
for a small interruption here, not with the trouble of entering, sir. The problem is the attacker has less options of attacking the browser and getting the data.
Yes.
So once it is being tokenized,
Okay.
the crime level
Since
is
I'm not
automatically
typing it at the browser
yes.
level, so if somebody hacks into my computer, somebody has an access
Yes.
to my team viewer or any such kind of any desk
Yes,
kind of
the-
application. If somebody captures my screen also, he won't be able to look
Get
at
all
whatever
the
I'm
data.
typing there.
Yes.
Okay, I mean,
So reduce
that's something.
reduce the crime. Yes.
That is clear. That is clear. I mean, I'm not coming to that part of it. So, now that we have spent a reasonable time and discussion on the financial aspect of crime, let me slightly go to the social networking sites. Okay. See, in social networking sites, that's becoming an emerging tool for expression of public's feeling these days. We say that we are living in a connected world. It's a highly connected world because we are disconnected even with our neighbor, with our family people, with our own people, my brothers and sisters living hardly, I mean, staying or sitting hardly about 20 feet, 30 feet away in the next room. But in the meantime, what I do not want my brother, sister or wife or anybody to know, I'll be conveniently typing it in my social networking sites and uploading it for thousands and millions of people to see it. So this is the kind of world we are now living. Okay. Now, I would like Lokesh Babu to respond to it. There are two things. How much of privacy of women and children is impacted by expression of such unbridled or uncontrolled expression of one's private feelings and intimate moments or feelings or thoughts from a psychological perspective, from other perspective also. How does social networking sites impact it? Is the country adequately equipped legally to protect, to prevent and to punish? Number one. Number two, is the country getting the expected cooperation from the MNCs which should take care of the social networking sites? The MNCs who own the social networking sites. From these two angles, I want you to respond.
Yes, sir. The first one, what you are asking was to prevent, to protect, or to punish. See, for all these things, we have separate laws, separate act for women and children also. From my point of view, is that nowadays the new generation people try to safeguard their data maximum with the technology they know. For example, making their page as a private one, and not everyone can see. These things are nowadays keeps on growing, but they do not know the data which contains a huge volume of metadata. They don't know how to protect this metadata from that. Say, for example, I take a selfie image, I post it on Instagram. This image will contain a huge volume of data, like what example, what type of camera I use, how do I take this picture, where do I take this picture. All these things will be recorded on the image. We upload this image with this metadata only, which means the second, for your second question, the MNC companies or the companies who provides these types of platforms for us to share the data will have a huge volume of metadata record with their servers, which means they can monitor very easily. For example, I travel from one place to another place, my wife does not know, my friend does not know. In fact, I may forget sometimes. The Google timeline always keeps in mind, messages me for every month. Last month you have traveled in so many paths. So these type of things are recorded in all types of social media pages. It might be Facebook, it might be Instagram, or it might be WhatsApp, or whatsoever the Facebook social media use. Everyone keeps up a huge volume of data about us to track us what exactly we do, or track us what exactly we are into. See, for example, I share something with my friend. WhatsApp says is end-to-end encrypted. End-to-end encrypted is okay. When it is come to my mobile, if my mobile is being accessed to someone else, for example, I don't want to say the name, a companies which reveals the ID, that is a phone number and name. These types of companies can access even the storage of my mobile. What will happen if the storage is gone? Every data which is recorded or stored in my data will be given to that company's hand, which means they will be monitoring who exactly we are. Just try to see what exactly the permissions what we are given, the mic or the camera or the storage space or the photos or whatever the permissions. Every access is given to someone else and we see for security, which is not practically possible. At the same time, we are in need of that. Say, for example, when we want to travel and travel like Uber or Ola, whatever the companies they ask, we give all sorts of permissions what they ask, because only then the app is getting worked. So we give the permission. We don't even have the time to switch off the permissions. From a point of women and children, it is very necessary to know how to switch off the permissions of the app when it is not required. This will safeguard us much more. See, for example, everyone knows we are trying to save it from 10%, 20%. At least that 10 to 15% of the crime will get reduced. We cannot be safe 100% to my experience, but still we can reduce the risk factor level.
In fact, I was also focusing on one particular point that towards the end of my question I was asking you, like all the MNCs cooperative with the government of India with respect to the implementation of the guidelines, especially the intermediary guidelines of February 25, 2021. In that particular guidelines, what government of India said was that all the intermediaries, they classify the intermediaries as normal intermediaries and significant intermediaries, those with a turnover or more than 5 million or more will be categorized as significant intermediaries, like all those categories. I mean, for a common man parlance, I would say a very big intermediaries like Twitter and Facebook, and the smaller companies which have only thousands as their database compared to those which have millions as their customers. Okay. All are subjected to the government of India guidelines. Especially the significant intermediaries, they should have an office in India, they should have a 24-hour availability of a toll-free customer number area, they should have a 24-hour accessible by a mobile, email, a permanent officer, an officer's name and address, everything should be made available on the website. These are also basic things which the government wanted you to do. For example, even if a shop is coming up in a municipal area in a metropolitan city or a city or town or whatever, naturally the corporation in charge will say that since you are setting up a shop, I would like to know something about you, your name and address, what shop you are going to do, I mean, some basic details. So when somebody wants to do business in India, naturally government of India has got every right to ask for who is your contact person in the event of any complaint or redress or grievance, whom to contact. These are the basic things. But unfortunately, what happened, even to comply with it, very popular, I mean, this came in the paper, just so I can tell you, I can completely reveal what happened. These are all newspaper news. Twitter, on the 90th day, Twitter came out with a submission given to the Delhi High Court, said that we need more time. For a simple question like who is going to be your India contact official, what is his email ID, what is the phone number, these are all very basic things which every government worth its salt will naturally ask. Even for this very big company, they hesitated. Somebody even had I can even use the word audacity, had the strength to approach the High Court seeking more time, but of course the judge gave time. Another 15 days, they also gave the name. In this kind of scenario, let me ask you this question. Are the intermediaries, why should the intermediaries hesitate to share the details? Is the sharing of details of them, do the intermediaries feel that it's an invasion into the privacy of the data, privacy of the customer's data? Because repeatedly Supreme Court has said that sovereignty is always supreme. The national security is at the top layer, and the individual privacy of individual persons is always considered subservient to the national supremacy of the sovereignty. So when the sovereignty of the nation is in doubt, the government has got every right to breach even the fundamental right of expression and privacy. Supreme Court has said very clearly. In this circumstance, how do you view it?
See, when viewing from the point of a MNC, see, for example, country like India, which is more than 100 crore population, not even 120, I say take it as 100 crore popularity, and such a huge volume of police stations or in each district. Just imagine how many police stations will be there. When each and every district or every area, these types of social media crimes or media offences being taken places, you keep on sending mail for that particular MNC company. They themselves had a huge team to respond to you, which is not practically possible. So what they have filtered is, when practically saying, when we are taking classes and we are having a small interaction with the people, with the higher officials, see, they respond to 90% of the cases, not immediately, but they have taken some time in responding. Things like which threatens the nation, it's a national threat or women pornographical or child related obesity pictures. If these types of cases have been filed with, they have given a notice to them. When 91 CRPC has been given to them for that MNC companies and ask for the detail, they still give the detail. They don't neglect to give the details. But for simple cases, if you don't file a case, if you send it from your Gmail account or if any other personal account, they try to avoid giving a reply. If it has been sent from a government email ID like NIC or GOV, they do. We still now, we don't say that we have not received. Depending upon the seriousness of the case or seriousness of the FIR, they respond immediately. But the reason for them not to give the particular person contact mail ID or phone number, which will again constrain their work, because that particular person will have a heavy work to do, which practically not possible. But from a safer side, see, on losing our fundamental right, if some privacy has been taken place or some threat is being made, and if you send a mail, if they don't respond, then the government or the judicial department has 100% right to take them into legal custodian. That is not there's no question for that.
Good, right. In fact, that's good. We are talking about the question of comparing an individual privacy of an individual data vis-a-vis the national supremacy, sovereignty of the nation. When the question of a nation's sovereignty or internal security or a big mob fury or a big damage to the cultural ethos of the country or national integrity, sovereignty is affected, Supreme Court and all the entire judicature in India has repeatedly said that there is even individual privacy can be infringed upon. So this point is very clear. Now, taking this a little bit further towards the technology aspect, let me ask this question to Panchi now. Looking at it from a technological perspective, websites like Facebook and earlier Facebook, of course nowadays only WhatsApp, is used, misused, abused, and all kinds of usages always there. There are very popular good usage of WhatsApp messages getting transmitted from 1 to 100 to 1000 to million. All those things are there. But when this medium is used to spread fake news or with a deliberate intention to create mischief or havoc or a terror kind of an attack in a society or in a country or in a group, something, there is a duty of the police to look into it. In the case of WhatsApp, the question is still more compounded, very complex, because in a matter of few seconds, it goes from 1 to 10,000, from 10,000 to again 1 lakh. In a matter of half an hour, it goes from 1 to around 1 lakh. In this 1 lakh, you will not, technologically, you will find it very difficult, if not impossible, difficult to find out who is the originator of the message. Recently, in a Supreme Court case, when the whole issue came up, the Solicitor General, he submitted an affidavit filed by the IIT Madras director. He gave a written affidavit on behalf of the PM's cyber security team. He said that in the case of WhatsApp, we can attach a meta tag with that the originator of the WhatsApp message can be identified. So technologically, it has been shown to the Supreme Court that such a thing is possible. Even if WhatsApp says we'll find it very difficult because end to end we are encrypting it, we don't want to invade the, we want to protect the, secrecy of the person who has sent the message. Our customer's right is paramount to us, not even your country's welfare or whatever. We are very particular about our customers' rights. Even if WhatsApp takes a similar stand, it has been given to the Supreme Court in a written affidavit that such a thing is possible. In this milieu, I want to ask you only these two things. Technologically, if it's possible, is it a very complex thing that we'll find it difficult to implement, number one? Number two, even other way, there are a lot of rogue apps. I'm not coming to the WhatsApp alone. Rogue apps or malware apps which have been deliberately created or written or spread in websites with a deliberate intention to steal your data. Some of the rogue apps, malware comes as very innocent, very small kind of apps like sharing a bus route or sharing a joke among the group, political memes and all that. Some sharing pictures inside, as a result of some technological things like steganography and all that, some malware could be hidden. Can this not be detected or diagnosed by a technological team? These are the two questions. One is about the originator of the WhatsApp. Second is about fake apps and malware.
The originator of the WhatsApp message, it's definitely technically possible, and it is not very tough thing also. So if
not very complex.
It's not a very complex one.
It does not require much technological.
Not much things. So if that field had to be included, then it could have been included, and it could have been given, even if it could be a Facebook message. It need not be included, WhatsApp also. It could be a
who
Facebook.
Should include it? No, what do you mean? Who
the developer, the Facebook team or the WhatsApp team, the development team. Their management only.
Probably what you mean is, let me try to understand. The next version of WhatsApp, we will say, this version has this feature. Like.
So that should be an add-on feature. That's all.
Okay. It should be an add-on feature.
So it should have. It should be an administrative edition which is implemented as a design into
something like automatic deletion of earlier WhatsApp messages. More features came, no, like that.
So
like
we
can
this,
give more than 5 forwards
feature.
like that. Okay.
So this is definitely possible. Coming to your second question, actually, which portion?
The rogue app.
Rogue
app or the malware.
Sir, rogue
kind
apps.
of apps.
Rogue app, if you say no, we have this Play Store or in iPhone App Store, everything is there. No? Before the apps are downloaded, before the apps are registered with the Play Store, they are also having a rigorous testing and then application. What are the features of this app? Like this, there is a very big process. It's not that just like that Google or Apple just publish their apps in the Play Store. There is a set of processes which are undergone, and then only it is published. But more than this, in spite of all these things, sometimes there could be some malware or spyware things which are attached to the application which steals the data. So to avoid this, what any normal customer or public should do is, we have to see whether the app is really necessary for us. That is one thing. And even if you see that if it is necessary, it has to be from the authorized agency. Suppose if you are going to download a banking app, always download it from the always download only the bank's app. The bank's app link could have been given from their internet banking website or their normal website itself. From there only you please take the link and download
Sorry to
it.
interrupt. As a mobile user, I give me a mobile for a service or for some small problem solving kind of thing to any service provider, to a petty shopkeeper, just for a few minutes. In the few minutes, he attends to the service repair, but in the meantime, he also copies, injects, or downloads some malware there, which I do not know. Okay, is there anything in the mobile which can tell me what are the apps which are functioning like malware? What are the active apps in the mobile which you have not downloaded, which are active? Something like that.
No,
Something
that
a
like
caution
that
kind of an
these
alert kind
are
of.
like
Some
that
apps
there
are
is
there initially. I remember that when you run it to tell you
there is no umbrella
a kind of
menu to find out what are the rogue apps. Definitely it is not there. But what you can say is you can at least disable the access of camera or location or mic. These things at least you can disable in the settings in a global
so
manner.
mobile, there's a setting which says which are all the apps which are accessing my data, which are all the
Yes.
apps which are accessing my camera,
So that you can
which are all
switch
the
off.
apps which are accessing just globally we can go and give the setting.
This
there.
can be done, but definitely there is no option to check what are the rogue apps which are installed. That it is not there.
Actually, one such app was there earlier. I remember having read it, but the point is the genuineness of that app itself was questioned subsequently. I mean, something like we create an antivirus, and then
Whether
genuineness
that is
of
a
the
good
antivirus
antivirus
itself,
or not.
correct.
or
As
not.
people normally use to question the antivirus company itself. People always used to say that the antivirus company itself is injecting some malware so that the next version of his antivirus can be easily marketed. So this is the general kind of a criticism which people normally do, and the software company they also refuse it. But so this is a war always going on. So we do not know. I mean, how much of authenticity, correctness could be on either side. Okay, now let me come to the last part of it. We've been discussing about crimes in the financial sector and all that. Now, are the crimes going to be at the same rate, or what is the emerging trend in crimes now? How crimes get emerged? See, new kinds of crimes get reported. For example, about 15 years back, we never thought that cybercrime would be such a big thing here. Nowadays, in fact, no bank, no industry, no petty shopkeeper also can think of running his shop without use of a computer or a network. Purchasing a flower or about 5 rupees, 10 rupees cost also, we have a mobile app or a QR code scanning, we pay through that. So sometimes it is even it was even getting joked last year. In two public sector banks were charging rupees 590, 5 rupees plus GST or whatever is the component, for every purchase of payment to UPI through a QR code in excess of 20, 30 over a period of 6 months. So after that, when you exceed this limit, I think 20, 30 per month would be, too small a cap. Some people use even 20, 30 per day also. So after exhausting this 20 or 30, when you go to the 31st payment, if the payment is going to be for 5 rupees payment will be spending around 5 rupees 90 paise towards UPI charges. So when you buy a small item or a toffee for about 10 rupees, you'll be ultimately paying 16 rupees for it. So this is the kind of thing which we may. In this kind of scenario, what are the emerging trends? Are the banks poised? Is the customer poised? People say that cryptocurrency is going to come and digital currency also is going to. These are all the larger areas. Is the country really prepared for dealing with cryptocurrencies? Is the country, what I mean is the ministry or the investigators, the judiciary, the advocate, the bar and the bench, everything. All the stakeholders put together, I'm telling you. Are we all, as a group, as a nation, prepared to face the onslaught of cybercrime, especially in the emerging trend as the day goes? Lokesh, Babu.
No, sir, we are not prepared.
Not prepared.
Very simple. Because
I
we don't.
appreciate this very
No, there is nothing to hide and seek.
straightforward and point blank
There is
answer.
nothing to hide and seek in this issue.
I
Because
appreciate frankness, I would say.
yeah, that is true, because we are not prepared. See, taken from the any department or any, I don't blame a particular department. From the general public till the administrative department, the criminals keep on thinking more and more faster than what we imagine. See, crimes like ransom attacks, WannaCry attacks, the games like Blue Whale game, and these types of games we have never thought of, but crimes happened, and the crimes which has to come in future. See, as we know, our internet is divided into three parts, like surface net, deep web, and dark web. These people who are hidden behind the screen, the people who are sitting in the darker areas, generating crimes daily with new ideas. They have a forum to discuss what exactly the crime which can be executed in the near future, and some crimes which will really make us threaten. As we are expertise, it is our responsibility to discuss even these things. For example, you could have seen the crime which has to be executed, called end ransom. That's really a tough crime. If it is been executed, then we'll be into big confusion and big threat. No one knows what exactly will happen if end ransom has been executed. That's a future crime which we are expecting. These criminals keep on updating the crime list daily and daily, stating this: we are planning to do these types of crimes. This is general cyber crimes I'm speaking about. But what has happened is, now the previous days when we are in web world, we used to search for the data and get the data. In the cyber world, that is web 2 world, we used to give our data to the internet. For example, WhatsApp or Facebook, we used to go, I'm going to Chennai, or I'm going to Malaysia, or I'm going to Singapore. All these data we used to feed.
So it is commonly said, no, in fact, in a networked world, you are not the user, you are the product.
Yes,
You are the product.
That's
In
right.
fact,
It's an exact term. We are the product for them. But
you are the product.
we have shifted.
Though you feel that you are using something free mail, they are giving me
Yes.
free network, they are given free Facebook coverage, free
we-
WhatsApp, everything is free. Nothing is free there. You
Yes.
are the product.
Yes,
I mean, these are
yes.
popular people
Sir,
say.
I am it's like putting a small food to you and trying to catch big one. See, everyone speaks about the privacy, everyone speaks about the secrecy, everyone says no one should share their password, right? But my email ID is free. What happens suddenly if the Gmail says from tomorrow onwards I will not give any free email IDs? Imagine the confusion of the general public. That will be a big question mark. We are not ready to get a paid email. See for the people who are using free email ID and paid email ID, the ratio will be at least 1:100 maximum, right? So then what is the privacy there? Okay, let that be apart. As you said, what exactly the crimes? You interrupted in between. Apart from Web 2, now we have gone for Web 3, like Metaverse. We don't have any idea of that, but people have started doing crimes in Metaverse. As Madam says in the previous lecture, there are people who do real estate in Metaverse, but we don't know. We don't have an idea of doing a business in the real estate in the real world itself. We are now imagining. See, imagine the level of crimes that are expected. That can be uncompared. As a threat level factor, are we ready? Still, even now, if a person does a crimes by an VPN, we feel very difficult to trace the person who has used that VPN. From which country has bought this VPN? What is the IP address and who has alerted that IP address? It is very tough job for them to see. See, the thing is, the richer the MNC companies, for example, a Ola company or Uber company, you book a Ola company, a cab or app to them, he says, he knows where exactly you are, right? But my people sitting for law governing people does not know what exactly I do. If my mobile is lost, still I have to give a complaint, wait for months and months together to retrieve that mobile. Sometimes I don't get the mobile back. See, this is what our company is, which means we have to improve our technology, or we have to improve more and more customer related softwares to catch the fraudster much more easier. See, still we are having hundred numbers which says that I am calling from so and so bank. We have not regulated with any one or two numbers from the bank stating this: only from this number we will get a call. We can't even do these things. So how can you minimize the crime? The criminal always thinks very far,
fast.
very
Very
fast,
fast
or
and far
very
away.
far away.
Correct.
We are discussing crimes which has already happened before 10 years. Only now we are discussing, right? We are trying to say, as Madam says, still we are trying to educate the people not to use their PIN numbers in the card or not to use the PIN numbers in the thing. We are still developing in that area, but the crime has gone somewhere else.
Actually, people normally say, in the case of a crime, especially cyber crime or technology-based crime, the order goes like this. It is the criminal who learns the technology first. He uses it. In fact, I should say misuse of technology. He misuses it and he earns money. Then the victim knows that he has lost money. Especially in the case of cyber crime, by the time the victim knows that he has lost money or he has been victimized or she has been victimized, her photo has appeared in a derogatory fashion in any social network. By that time, 2 hours, 3 hours, or perhaps a day or two would have gone. Whereas if it were the case of a pickpocket, the moment the pocket is picked, he would know.
Yes.
She would know.
Yes.
In the case of cybercrime, sometimes it takes delay for him even to realize that he is a victim. After that, he learns how that victimization would have happened, how he lost the money. So the technology he learns subsequently, second. After he learns it, he goes and takes the fact to the bank or the service provider or somebody, the telco service, network service provider. They learn how the fraud would have happened, the third stage. The fourth stage, the intermediary, they learn subsequently how it would have happened. Then they go and file a complaint with the police. The police learns it at that stage how it would have happened. Then it goes to the advocates or the bar. Then they learn it. Ultimately, the judge or the judiciary, the other judicial officers, they try to know the legal and technology involved in the crime, how the whole thing would have happened. So by the time the case goes to the final stage of the judgment getting dispensed or that stage, by the time the criminal, would have gone to the next version of technology.
No, next few versions of technology,
Okay.
not a single version.
Okay, next version. Exactly.
No, but this takes a long time, right? So by this time, criminal would have gone to next version 1, version 2, version 3 level of crimes.
Correct.
Yes.
Because 10 years back we were speaking about card cloning and
Yes.
card skimming and ATM. Nowadays nobody puts any camera in the ATM and does the card cloning and all that. People have gone for so many other things like man in the middle attack or a network attack, like those kind of things. Okay, with this to the last part of the thing. With so much of technology penetration, I would ask this to Panchi now. So much of technology in the banking world, in the social network world, in the digital world everywhere. Like even people say that even the normal rupee is going to be taken over by the central bank digital currency, e-rupee, and in the cryptocurrency. Okay, not at legally RBA is still against it. That is on record. RBA is still against it. The finance ministry is trying to give a lukewarm approach to it. RBI certainly is very clear, categorical that it is against cryptocurrency. So let me not go to that part of it. The central bank digital currency and other technology related innovations in the banking as well as the other areas. Technologically, is India on par with other countries, or India is going at a rate faster than which it can be controlled?
Definitely, sir. With regard to CBDC, technically we are very well equipped, and we are on par with the other countries who are also in the pilot stage with the CBDC. In central bank digital currencies, at least about around a handful of countries are only on the pilot stage, around 10 to 12 countries. Along with them, India is also on the pilot stage. A few days back, we have released CBDC for the wholesale. There are two types of CBDC, one for the wholesale and another for the retail. The wholesale is for the government to the banks or between the banks. This is for the masses. This is like B2B. The other one is retail. Now we have launched the wholesale. Very shortly, country will be releasing the retail for closed user group. For a CUG alone, it is planned to release. This retail will be available for the normal public also. And this CBDC, we are definitely very well equipped, and we are at par with the other countries in the usage of either distributed ledger technology, or it could be distributed server computing also. It could be a quantum computing. It could be a hybrid model of. It could be a hybrid model of CBDC implementation here.
People say it's going to be the future of quantum computing.
Yes, so we are very well equipped, sir, with regard to CBDC.
Okay, now Panchi, as a last remark, just for about a minute, do you feel that there is any particular point which you wanted to share here in this forum? and you feel I have not asked you anything about it, which you personally feel that this is something which I thought I should share with your audience, with the audience of DISAI as well as the audience of FDPPI, anything, just for about a minute.
Definitely, sir. This ransomware, malware, whatever could be the type of any type of fraud, it could be technically very much advanced, and any new fraudster may find it out and implement. But to implement the same, the any technologically higher advanced malware also, at the last step in the edge, only the social engineering is used, which is the weakest link in people process
So it is
technology.
ultimately
People are
the
the
human link.
human link only.
Human
This
link.
is only the weakest
It's not the
link.
question of technology, human.
Human in people are only the weakest link.
Very
So if this link is so much stronger, whatever the technical frauds are being invented and implanted towards the human race, that can be easily avoided and reduced. At least even if not avoided, it could be reduced. This is what I wanted to say. We have to we should remember that nothing is free or nothing will come at a lesser cost. So if we remember this, we won't be allowing malware itself to our phones or devices.
Thank you, Panchi. It was very wonderful, informative, interesting concluding remarks. Now, Lokesh Babu, do you feel something that which you wanted to share in this audience, to the audience of DISAI as well as the audience of FDPPI, which you feel that I have not asked the relevant question, which you had in mind, which you thought you can share?
No, sir, nothing very specific as such, but a small request to the audience who see these things. See, the thing is, do not install any app which is not required. Just for the cost of one-time use, do not install that app and keep it in your mobile by not watching what exactly they take from your mobile. Try to avoid games in the regular use of mobiles. For example, if you are using like e-banking services, like any UPI services in the in your mobile, please do not install mobile games in that particular device. Take some special care for your children and get a mobile or a device which does not have any connectivity with the banks as such, and then you try to use that mobile for that games, so that you will be secure to some extent where you will not have the direct connectivities. So these types of small necessary steps will reduce a big headache or tension from losing your money or making you more ten-step cyber world. So at the same time, try to see what exactly the link you should click or not to click. See, any attack a criminal does will be with your interference only. See, the technology has grown to big extent. Without the interference also, a attack can be made, but that is not in huge volume. That is only a very minor volume. Huge portion of the volume, the attack will go with your permission. That is, without knowing or with knowing, you must have given permission for these types of apps or things. Only with that you will be attacked. So try to avoid these areas. Try to see the permission settings. Go for privacy settings and try to make yourselves more secure. Do not reveal unnecessary or sensitive data to anyone else on the social media pages. That will secure more and more to be safe. Nothing else more, sir. Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, sir.
Thank you, Lokesh Babu. It was quite interesting, very informative piece of advice you gave to the audience. Now, as my concluding remark, I would like to borrow the words of Panchi and again Lokesh Babu also. It is basically the human link. Having discussed for about an hour on the banking aspects of cybercrime, the social networking aspects, the social networking related crimes and cryptocurrencies related crimes and all that. One thing is very clear that the man is not meant to be privacy, not meant to be private. The word privacy itself has got an extremely different denomination, different definitions, depending upon the circumstances, the culture of the nation, the laws of the nation and all that. What is privacy in US is not privacy in India. What is privacy in India also may not be privacy in one particular part of the country. What is privacy for a celebrity may not be privacy for me. In fact, when I walk on the road, if somebody takes a photo of me, in fact, I would just be keeping quiet or just be oblivious to the fact. But whereas an upcoming celebrity, she would like to be photographed. She would stand there for a while and give a good pose. And if a rural shy girl from a rural atmosphere comes to Chennai and walks on the busy road of Bangalore or Mount Road or Chennai or Bombay, whatever it is, somebody takes a photograph, the first reaction would be she would be objecting to the photographer. Why are you taking a photo? I am coming from a rural area. In fact, Basically, it is her shyness which would be an objection. So the privacy for the rural girl who comes to Chennai, and privacy for an upcoming celebrity who would like to be photographed, and the privacy for a man like me who will just be careless about whoever takes photo, why should I be bothered? So it is the same act of taking a photo in a public place. It gives different ramification to all these three people. So this is what privacy is. That is why probably Supreme Court is clever enough. I won't say clever enough. Supreme Court is wise and mature enough, having not defined privacy, having only said that privacy is a fundamental right. Fundamental right. In the famous case of Pottaswamy case, judgment delivered in 2017 August, so Supreme Court clearly said in a 9-judge bench, a full bench, all the 9 judges concurrently and unanimously agree that privacy is a fundamental right. It cannot be breached. Having said it, they did not go one step more and define privacy, because they also knew that privacy cannot be defined. For example, in a recent case in the US, I think California, one wife, she filed a case of divorce against the husband, stating that daily night he is looking at my mobile and looking at the log in my mobile, to whom I am talking, from whom I am receiving call. This she took it as an act of invasion of privacy into her private life, and the judge immediately gave her divorce. If such a thing has to come up in a court in
India.
a court in India, I would.
More than 80%.
Yeah, exactly. As Lokesh Babu says, I think 70-80% of the Indian couple would be landing in divorce only, naturally, because India is not a country made for privacy. Culturally or ethically or even legally, I would say Indian legal system, cultural system, ethical system is not, so much comparable with the privacy definition in US. But without considering all these things, I am pretty sure the government is not going to bring up an act on privacy. That is why, fortunately or unfortunately, the Privacy Act itself has been shelved about a couple of months back. The law minister has clearly said that we are not cancelling it, we are only shelving it. We are going to reintroduce it in as a comprehensive legislation covering cybercrime, intermediary guidelines, and errors and faults and crimes and deficiencies in social networking sites, as well as privacy. Perhaps he has in mind two or three different legislations, or one comprehensive legislation which is going to address the issues of cybercrime, social networking sites, as well as privacy. So we have to wait and watch how the things will take shape. And when the proposed legislation comes in a draft state, perhaps associations like DISAI and FDPPA will have an interesting period ahead, with all our members again debating it, how the law is going to be effective or ineffective, what the what the department had in mind in coming out with this particular phrase or clause, how the law will be there, whether it will be suitable to Indian environment. All those things are what the future will tell us. With these words, let me take pleasure in concluding this. And thank you Lokesh Babu, and thank you Panchi.
Thank you, sir.
For having spent your valuable time with us. On behalf of DISAI and FDPPA, I take this opportunity. Particularly, I am thankful to Navi for giving me this assignment and asking me to send this to you. Thank you, Navi. Thank you, all members of FDPPA. Thank you.